Welcome to the magical world of the Joey Wiggle Experience and the 12 Guests of Christmas! Oh, ho, ho.
Ho, ho, ho! G'day, everyone, and welcome to day 11 of the 12 Guests of Christmas. It's great to have you here with us, and joining us is another one of the favorites that I had on the show for months ago. I'm glad that he's back to chat with us once again. Please welcome back to the show, CaloricLeader9, aka Ryan Boyd.
Hello, hello.
It's great to have you back. And I remember the last time we had a chat, the interview went for about an hour and a half. I think it was the first time we actually went for that length of time as well. And there was a lot to talk about. What was it? We talked about how you first got your name CaloricLeader9, and then we talked about the content creators on YouTube who, re-upload other people's content without their permission. I mean, we talked about Joseph Marshall basically, and Bluey as well. I don't know if that was everything. There would have been more for sure, but
yeah, we really went in depth. I think I actually mentioned this even after the episode was like released. Like I've done like probably like 2 interviews before. One for like some fan of mine, and then I was and I actually forgot to mention this in the previous podcast because he brought it up to me. So thank you, Isaiah. But Isaiah had a little podcast of his own called Tales of the Playlon Friends, which was where he talked to a bunch of people from the Playlon gang, me included. So this is technically now this is my 4th time, but the previous time was my 3rd interview, but my first fully in-depth interview.
Yeah, because I was going to say, because I think when people want to know who you are, I reckon I highly recommend watching the interview you had with me a few months ago, because I feel like in an hour and a half, you pretty much explain everything that needs to be explained. Like your channel, especially how you got the name CaloricLeader9, because I know you always mention it means nothing. It means nothing. And it's like, then it gets really confusing. Like, what do you mean it means nothing? It has to mean something. And then they watch the interview and it's like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I think it will really help that you explained it in that manner as well, because I don't know how many times you probably had to do that. So at least you get to, at least it helps you not have to repeat it again.
Nah,
like people will be like, what does it mean?
Yeah, and it's still fine. I still not really like. I actually rarely get this question. I had like probably like a few people ask me, and I don't mind answering it, like, because obviously I know that if they're messaging me about it, they're obviously a new fan. So, of course, I'll give them like the brief rundown of how I got my name. So, it's really not a big deal. Even if someone were to message me right now saying like, "Oh, how did you get the name?" I'll explain it to them.
Just be like,
I don't mind.
I'll save you the story. Just go watch the Jolly Wiggle Experience. It's crazy because it's like, at one point I was looking through the internet. I was like, it had to mean something. Like I was thinking like if there was reference to anything, and I'm surprised that it came from a bloody Xbox generator. Like that's how Xbox is pretty much responsible for getting CaloricLeader9 on the internet.
I think the closest thing of how like some people even ask me like that if it means it, like I said in the show previously, like if it like they're like it has to like mean something. I'm like, no, it really does. I think the closest I think the only like kind of like reference in there, and it's kind of shocking because it's actually my favorite number. The number 9 in the name.
Right.
9 is my favorite number. Well, one of my favorite numbers. And the fact the generator came up with CaloricLeader9, whether it was like coincidence or it was fate, but it was really cool how it came up with the number 9, because number 9 is my favorite number. So probably that is like the closest thing to a meaning of my name. But probably the closest thing we're gonna get. But yeah, like I said in the previous show, yeah, CaloricLeader9 means nothing. It was just an Xbox generator name. And trust me, if it meant something, I would have absolutely would have opened up and said like, oh well, it means this, and but seriously, it means absolutely nothing.
Although I had to look up caloric, I had to look up what at least what caloric meant, because I was like, I did not even know what that meant. So I looked it up, and it says, according to the dictionary, it's relating to heat, calorific. So at least you're a heat leader. Bring on the heat.
That's the first time I've heard. That's actually the first time I've heard about that, because previously people would approach me and they're like, does the name caloric mean like calories or something? And I'm like, no.
I was thinking calories too. I was like, dude, I was thinking, because it even came up. I was like, did it mean calorie? CaloricLeader9. Oh, we didn't speak about that in the last episode. I think what's really great about you, and I don't know how open you are with this, and I think it'd be great to actually talk about it, but one thing that really astounds me is the journey you've been through in the past year to actually lose a lot of kilos. And it's like, I watched that and I'm thinking, that is inspirational. Like, I know we didn't talk about that last time on the show, but because I was kind of like, maybe not as a first interview, but I thought now that I've got you back on, maybe it'd be great to actually talk about it, because I thought, just thinking about it, it's like, I think that's the one thing this year I think for you this year, that was probably your biggest achievement. Like, both as a content creator and as a individual, because it's like, I watched that and thinking, God, it's possible. People can actually do it. Like, you put your right mind towards it, you can achieve, what you can achieve. But if you like to, I don't know, we don't want to go too in depth, because obviously private. But it's I'd love to hear the story of what inspired you to actually start, going on the weight loss journey that you've been on, and how you feel from it since. And I think a lot of our viewers will be genuinely surprised at the result.
Actually, I've shared bits and pieces, but I don't mind going fully in depth. So growing up, I'm 26 now, which is shocking because next month I'm going to be 27. But for 26, almost 27 years, I've even shared it in the post. It's no secret, growing up, my weight has always been, not like a problem, but kind of up and down. There would be growing up, especially in my early years, I had a lot of fat, big fat, chubby baby fat all over. Probably the worst I looked before last year was in 2011. If you look at me at photos in 2011, it was, I don't even recognize myself in those photos at all. It's like, I see myself kind of like that dude from the that Gangnam Style music video. What's his name? Psy or something like that. I kind of looked like I kind of looked like him. And that was and I kind of was chubby for a while, and then in 2015 I suddenly started losing weight, and by the end of the year I looked really good. And then the next couple of years kind of was like a yo-yo effect. Times where I'd be chubby and then I would be skinny. The best I ever looked was in 2021, because during the pandemic, I went walking a lot, and I think my best weight at the time was probably about 155 pounds I got to. And I was very skinny. The first time I've ever been so skinny and felt good in my body, but the biggest problem, especially with the weight and everything, was, my diet is, and this is probably some people who don't know, I'm a picky eater. My diet
We all love
is
food. I get it. We all love food, man. Trust me.
my diet is terrible, and I only eat probably a few things. And back in the day, like if you were asking me to try something, I would have absolutely refused. Though it definitely has improved over the years. Like now you put something in front of me, you ask me to try it. Yes, I will even eat the whole thing for effort, you know. But back then it was so bad, you know, and I would only eat like a few things, and that contributed to like this weight gain and me being unhealthy, and you know, and it was really bad. But last year, um, it was at its absolute worst. Um, and I think the pandemic played a big role because the pandemic, not gonna lie, screwed me physically and mentally. It was very hard.
Yeah, I
Um,
think the pandemic did that for everyone. I feel like, because even for me, it was kind of like that feeling of isolation of like, you can't go out and do these things. Yeah, it
and
kind
it
of
was
ruins it.
yeah,
It
and it
ruins
was
your
not
head.
yeah, and it was not just, it was not just because of the pandemic and all that. I also was going through lots of like personal problems and all that, and it took me a long time for my mental health to recover, because then I had to go to therapy for 4 years, and then a couple years ago I had to start taking medication for the first time since I was 9 years old, because the last time I was on medication was when I was 9, and it was for my ADHD. But now I'm on a medicine that controls my anxiety and my bouts with depression, because I've had a lot of struggles, especially like growing up with depression. You know, kind of like similar to what Anthony Field from the Wiggles went through. You know,
Yeah.
because I think Anthony said it best in that documentary. It's like people come up to you and they're like, why, what do you have to be depressed about? Like, you have a great life, you feel happy. But that's the thing with depression, like sometimes you don't know why. You don't
Yeah.
know why you're depressed and all that. And I've had
And
those
also
feelings.
because Anthony, yeah, and I was going to say, because Anthony, and he's had it for pretty much most of his life as well. I don't think many people realize that, when something like that goes untreated, especially ADHD and all these other things, it's like it can just spiral out of control. And then you look at the decisions you've been making, and then you realize, God, I feel like a jerk. Like, and I think it's good that he's, gotten help for that. But I think it's one of those things where if he didn't get help, God knows where he'd be today.
Yeah, and yeah, it definitely changed the depression. It changed who I was. I felt, I felt being more. It made me confrontational. It made me say things that I don't mean to say. And it's horrible. And looking back at that, it was a really tough moment in my life. And I remember probably like having like at one point having like I was so overwhelmed that I literally had a nervous breakdown, and it was really bad, like when you're at that point where you lose control and you just don't know what to do. All you can do is just sit there and you bawl your eyes out, and it was horrible. So that definitely played a role. Like, I had a really bad mental breakdown in 2022, probably right after we came back from Vegas in 2021. Um, won't go into details, very personal, but yeah, I had a really bad mental breakdown, and I had to tell my therapist that, and then they put me on medication for the first time, which thankfully to this day still, you know, works wonderfully. I haven't had a depressive thought in like 3 years, which is amazing. The anxiety it's still a struggle. I still battle with it, but at least I now have, the tools to know what to do in case if I feel, overwhelmed, and I have a great, support system of online friends, my family, and other IRL people that I know. Um, but going back to the weight thing, yeah, the depression and everything that was just like going on, it contributed. So 2021, you know, I was super thin. And then right after the mental breakdown, I just remember over the next 2 years, I went from being very skinny to literally growing a gut. And by 2024, I was at my absolute worst. I was 232 pounds. And I was drinking gallons of apple juice, eating tons of cheese, eating so unhealthy. And it was just, I wasn't depressed at that point because, again, the depression now was under control, but I just couldn't stop. It just, I think, you know, when you eat something, you know, I think it kind of makes you feel like you have something that you can control. And I think that's, you know, what happened with me. Because when I eat, it feels like I have control of something. And it was so good too. And it's just, it was so bad. Anyways, the breaking point came in October of last year. I haven't been to a doctor's in like years. And I went to my first doctor's appointment in like 3 or 5 years last year. I don't know how
3 or
long.
5 years.
Yeah.
Wait, 3 years without seeing a doctor.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, it was lots of stuff. But anyway, yeah, I went to my, because we had to get a new doctor for me. So I went to my first doctor's appointment last year. And yeah, and I did my checkup and everything. And then I went to get my blood taken because I had to go to a hospital and get my blood taken. And the next day, right after the test, I get a message from my doctor, and she said, "Your blood is wicked bad. You have a ton of abnormalities. Your fat blood cells are high, and you are on the tipping scale of becoming a diabetic. If you do not do something, if you do not find that control over what you eat, and if you don't cut back, you are literally going to die."
Pretty strong stuff. And can I just say, like, whether or not any of that was true or if it was a way to scare you, that's pretty strong stuff. Because some people need that motivation, dude, and it's like you just don't want to know if they're telling the truth or not because you want to take that on board.
No, and the thing was that, like, yeah, you when you use tactics like that, it's supposed to scare somebody, but no, the evidence showed for itself. You know, I looked at the numbers. I even researched it when it come. I researched the number of what number you have to be for you to become like a diabetic, and I was on the tipping scale of having pre-diabetes, and then if I kept getting higher and higher, it would have fully developed into type 2 diabetes. So
oh my God.
It was so bad, and I was like, "Fuck!" Like. And I got warned before by friends and family, but it wasn't until that doctor's appointment. It wasn't until I saw myself that I was like, fuck, I gotta do something about this. Like, I'm gonna die. And I looked at myself in the mirror and I saw how much I changed because I didn't really look at myself, and I'm like, fuck, like I look bad. Every video from last year, I looked bad. I looked like I didn't even look like myself. Like, I was so bad. So after that, I basically, and how I lost weight, you know, people ask me like, did you exercise? Did you cut back? Well, I cut back. I added new stuff to my diet. And the big thing that helped me lose weight, and this is something you guys should definitely do if anyone out there who wants to lose weight, add freaking protein to your diet.
Oh, dude, absolutely. Add protein no matter what. Like, I highly encourage that to any of my viewers too. Absolutely. Include protein in every meal of the day.
I drink these things every morning now for the last year. It's called Core Power. And these powerful drinks have like almost up to like 40 grams of protein. And I will drink that every single morning for breakfast. That's literally my breakfast, and I will feel full for hours. And the moment I started drinking that, Joey, within like a month into like me getting weight loss, my stepmom looks at me one day and she's like, "You look like you lost a couple pounds." I go on the scale within like by the end of the month, I've lost over 10 pounds. I went from 232 to 222 pounds. Then we went to Disney. Came back, I was 210 pounds. And then it just kept going down. By my birthday, I was 200 pounds. And a couple months ago, went to my doctor's, and everything from last year, everything was high. I had abnormalities in my tests. Everything reversed. Every single line was in green, 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 green. I reversed everything. And I went from 232 pounds, and the weight I have today, 180 pounds. I lost 50 pounds in the span of a year.
Whoa, man. That's crazy, dude. That's really good. And like you said, it's gone, all the levels that they told you that you were on the tipping edge of being a diabetic went down as well.
Yeah. And like this, for example, like I remember I would have like this originally would be full to the brim with apple juice. Right now I'm drinking water. Never drunk water before. Never drunk, like I would only drink if I needed it. But after like that whole thing, that's when I took it seriously, and I've been drinking water for a whole year now.
Wait, hold on. You've never had water up until.
That's how bad.
Wait, what?
That's how bad my diet was. That's how bad my picky eating was. It was, and honestly, like your reaction is absolutely normal, because I've had that same reaction when I tell people this, and they're like, dude, you had to have drunk water. I'm like, yeah, I do, like only like if I'm like coaxed to, but never to the point where I force myself to actually do it. But no, now I drink it all like my drinking now, I have the smoothie in the morning. At lunch I have a Diet Coke, which has no sugar. And then the only time I used to drink apple juice 24/7 a day, cut it down to once a day now. The only time I drink apple juice now is at dinner time. And we found an apple juice that has no sugar, so that way my sugar can remain stable. So it honestly has been great. And I feel different. I look different. My friends are like, you look a million times better than last year. Someone even said I looked sexy at one point.
Ryan, how true that statement is. Oh, man. And can I just say, honestly, for you mentioning that, I think it's important that I say this too, just because I think a lot of people would have been thinking about it at the same time. I remember watching, I looked back on like the video that I made with the 1,000 subscriber celebration, and I just for some reason I went back to watch that and watch everyone, and then you were there, and dude, you looked very thin back then. That was back in 2022. That was 3 years ago. So I couldn't even imagine what had been happening in that time span. Because then I remember last year looking like you posing for photos. And I'm going to be honest, dude, I actually felt a little bit of concern. Like it looked really like, I don't want to make it sound like I'm fat phobic, but the truth of the matter is, it's like if you're gaining that amount of weight in a short amount of time, I'd be very, very concerned, and I'd also like go and see and if that were me, I would go to a doctor and get checkups and just like ask for a plan, like, because that looked like, because for me, I wasn't angry, I was just really like concerned. I was actually really like, I actually genuinely was worried about you, because I thought you were a great guy, and I just didn't want to see that, you know, I just didn't want to see you end up like, God, I want to say a name, but I don't want to make it too fat phobic on this show.
I won't be offended, man. And no,
Norbit. I was like, please, like, take care of yourself. And I'm glad, you know what? I'm so happy. I'm proud of you, man, that you actually took notice of it. Because the thing about it too, I think a lot of people don't understand it, is that you actually have to want it as well. Like, you clearly wanted it, and it was very important to your weight loss.
Yeah, I you know, even some of my folks were like, oh, they're like, he might hear this from his doctor, and he's probably not gonna want it. But once again, like I've done so many times, I proved everybody wrong. I wanted it. I knew that if I didn't do something, like, honestly, if I had not have done it, we wouldn't be talking right now. I would have had a heart attack. I would have been in a hospital, or worse, I would have been dead.
Dude, I know. And it's like, I think a lot of people need to, like, I think a lot of people should hear your story too, especially in the autism community, because I think, I don't want to, that thing is, I don't want to bash anyone in the autism community, but there's a lot of us that I feel like are very comfortable in, you know, eating what we like and doing what we like. And unfortunately, when we enjoy eating what we like, we get too casual for what we do, and then we end up gaining weight and we forget about everything that's happening around us. And that's not me, and I apologize if anyone in the community might be a little bit upset from hearing that, but the truth of the matter is, you know, just please look after yourself. If you feel that there's a difference in your lifestyle, like that it feels really unhealthy compared to where you were before, please go and see a doctor. Talk to people too. Just talk about you wanting, like, you want to have a better body, but also have a better life, because also it changes you mentally. Like, it's clearly changed you mentally. Like, you feel better and you look better.
My relationship with food has definitely improved because of it, because before that, my mind 24/7 would be food. 24/7. And even if I wasn't hungry, I would raid the fucking fridge and eat. But now my relationship with food is so much fucking better now. If I'm full, I'm full. And if I want and if I want to drink something, drink water. Keep myself hydrated. I don't need to go downstairs and raid the fridge for apple juice, because that's gonna fuck me up.
Yeah. That's crazy. I didn't know you. That's crazy that you rarely drunk water unless you wanted to. I mean, unless you were asked to or something. That is, like, how long did that go on for? Oh no, was it like your whole life?
26 years, man. My whole fucking life.
Oh, dude.
Not even gonna lie to your face, man. My whole life, man. My whole life.
Bro. That's crazy, man. That's crazy.
Because if I said something else, if I said something different, I would have been lying to your face.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I'm glad you're using this platform to be honest as well, because I think a lot of people were, you know, they've wanted to know more about, you know, because I think a lot of what's great about what you've done is that I feel like you're inspiring other people in the community who may be feeling the same way as you may have felt a year ago, and then watching you transform into the figure that you've wanted, and also because you wanted it too. You wanted to change yourself for the better, and I think a lot of people are going to see that and be inspired and they're going to do the same thing. Like, I think you've kind of helped start a chance for people, especially in the autism community, because I'm not bashing anyone in the community. It's just that we are very comfortable with what we eat, and we don't have to worry about the long term, or because we're very comfortable with what we are. But in terms of health, unfortunately, you know, we've seen it with you, Ryan. Like, it's clearly nearly, you know, taken an effect in such a bad way. Yeah, and I think it's very important that people see that, because it's like, if that is you need to go and talk to someone and go and see a doctor. Like, if anyone listening right now, please listen to what we're saying, because you don't want to end up like what Ryan nearly ended up as. You know, dead before 30. It's like, that's not what you want.
Yeah, like definitely take care of yourselves, because honestly, I've done a lot of damage to myself for 26 years, and if I could turn back time, man, and just reverse everything, I would have followed a healthy diet from the very beginning of my life. And yeah, he's telling the truth, y'all. Please take care of yourselves, and you know, and if you're struggling like I was, go to a doctor, because it's never too late to reverse everything. I reversed everything within a year. You can too.
And if that's in a year, dude, imagine like there's some people who are in that position. If they followed that plan, I mean, literally just going outside and walking, like you said, you've walked outside during COVID. Like, obviously, it'd be hard to do, especially when you can't go anywhere. All you could do is just walk around.
Yeah,
Like,
because
even that itself is just like that's getting active and getting exercise.
yeah, and sometimes I'll even walk around my house, without even realizing it. Even if it's just walking in your own house, you're doing something productive.
Yeah.
That's exercise.
And I recommend to the viewers 10,000 steps a day. Trust me. 10,000 steps, which is pretty much just like walking for like nearly an hour or somewhere around there. That's all you need to do per day to actually change your physique and body. I've done that myself. It actually helps so much. It's worth it because then you feel better about yourself too. And like you said, Ryan, you feel better. Like you feel better from having done all of that and eating well and drinking. And even, yeah, like drinking those smoothies. I mean, what are those protein shakes are for breakfast?
Core power.
Core power, yeah. Because it's like you just want to have something. I agree. You need something that's going to fill you up so then you don't have to think about food later on in the day. And you're filling up on something good and healthy. Because I think that's the problem too, being around food all the time. Especially, it's like if you go to a party and you see a table filled with burgers and sausages and
Yeah.
just pizza. It's like, oh, if there was pizza on the table, I wouldn't be able to control myself. Like, it's the
Yeah.
hardest thing. Our human instincts want to eat it so much.
And I'm not ashamed to admit, I was a food addict. I'm a food addict. And
Mm.
and even though I have it under control now, I still realize that I'm going to struggle, and I still technically am still a food addict, because I sometimes, even today, I still have urges, but I know now it's like, you do this, you're gonna fuck everything up,
Mm.
and you know, I mean, right now, especially with the holidays coming up, I might treat myself, a little bit, because
Oh,
it's
that's
the
fine,
holidays.
honestly. But the thing is, Ryan, you know what? Like, you want to make it feel like if you're going to eat these kind of foods, you want to make it feel like it's a reward, not something that you want to do on a daily basis. When you
Yeah,
work towards it as a reward, like you said, when you go into a Christmas party, yeah, I'm just going to go indulge myself in all of this. But obviously, it will feel rewarding because you've been working hard on the rest of the other days of your life to actually get to the physique you wanted and to mentally feel better as well.
yeah, and that's actually a good example. Is that at the end of my street, there's a restaurant at the end of my street, and I'll wait until the end of the week, Friday, and because I go to a program 5 days a week. At the end of the week, when I do everything, I work hard. That's my dinner reward, because I've done a lot of hard work.
Your
And
dinner and your dinner reward with the Patreon money that you earn on Patreon.
yeah, actually, yeah. Well, yeah, Patreon and YouTube money.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually, yeah, the Patreon and YouTube money. Yeah, go into like that for a moment. I seriously can't believe that. Like, I shock myself sometimes. I still can't believe that I took a risk this year, and I was like, I don't know if it's gonna work, but I'm gonna try and see if I can get into the YouTube Partner Program. The reason I didn't know if I was gonna be able to go in because I had some copyrighted content. But
I've tried before. I've tried many times, and
you messaged me before on that, yeah.
I know. I was like, it's like I saw you get because that was what made me want to apply again. I saw you get part of the program. I was like, how?
That's what I asked that's what I asked myself. I was like, how the fuck are they giving me a chance? And then months later, I get my first, like, I'm not gonna say like how much I got, but I got my first paycheck, and it was a lot of money. I was like,
dude.
I'm like, I haven't earned this much money in a long freaking time, and it just felt so good, you know. And my channel, especially now, it's been skyrocketing with, and like every video I release, especially the play-alongs, get like into the thousands of view range, which increases the money by so much, and it's literally insane.
Support
yeah,
on Patreon. Like that's very important, like, especially when you want to gain more followers on Patreon and YouTube. You want to produce content that they're going to want to watch.
Yeah, and just to promote myself for just a moment, yeah, if you guys seriously want to support me and the channel, and if you want to see some cool, incredible stuff, please follow my Patreon account, patreon.com/CaloricLeader9 Productions. You'll be getting some cool benefits in return. It's literally $3 to $10 a month. You'll be getting some cool benefits in return. You'll have your name mentioned in the description of the videos. You'll get exclusive access to new videos 2 days before it's released to YouTube. We're also going to be dropping some exclusive content soon that you won't be seeing anywhere else, and it's going to be freaking awesome. So definitely join the Patreon, and also while you're at it, head to my channel and become a member of the channel too, because we're going to do the same thing on YouTube soon as well. It's going to be freaking awesome. So patreon.com/CaloricLeader9 Productions. Please definitely help become a member, join the family. We got some great stuff coming next year. Seriously.
Dude, that's what you want to do for your audience. You want to give them the benefits. Like, that's why ever since I've started the podcast myself, I've also made some more tiers on my own Patreon, which is for those wondering, there's 2 new ones. So basically what I have introduced is the Joey Wiggle Entertainment tier, which is around $7 or $10 a month, depending on GST and all that time zone stuff. But I wrote here, it's ideal for the fans of the show that we've got right now. And basically, if you join the tier, you'll be getting early access to these episodes before they premiere, which would be exciting, especially depending on the guests that we have on the show. We always have a big mix of guests. And there's also the community polls to vote on future guests. So basically, I'll also be taking in recommendations from people who join this tier to try and get guests on the show that they want to see, basically. And also their name will be included in the podcast supported description of these episodes, all around just on YouTube and Spotify and all those places. So that seems pretty fun and reasonable if you like the show and you want to have an input in some way, shape, or form. But then here's the next tier that I included, which I knew a lot of people would be begging to be on the show, and I knew this tier would be perfect for them. And that's the thing, dude. I get these requests of people wanting to join the show. It's like, please let me on the show, please let me on the show. And I'm like, I've set up a new tier. I've set up a tier called the VIP Circle, and I call it VIP for a reason, a very good reason. I said it's, quote, for Joey's biggest supporters, the ones who make the magic happen. It gives everything that I have in the other tiers, including producer credit on these selected podcast episodes. So basically, I would mention you during the episode, and then you'll get a personalized video or audio as a thank you. And get this. This is why, if you want to be on the show, you want to join this tier. You get a guaranteed guest spot on the show if
That's
you
right.
join the
That's
VIP
right.
circle, which is like $17 to $20 a month or $25 a month. I think it changes around, but that would be, if you want to be on the show, that's the kind of thing you want to join. And,
Yes.
and we can schedule it and all that kind of stuff. And it's usually for once a year. Or if you don't want to be in the show, you can appear in a personalized episode shout out. Either way, but if you love the show and the guests that we have on, that's the one you want to join. And also, very important to mention, with the Joey Wiggle Entertainment one, the tier before, you'll also get an exclusive mug with the show's logo on it. So if you love drinking coffee or tea, that's the kind of thing you'll want to bring around the house. And guess what? If you join the VIP circle, you get a t-shirt with the show's logo on it.
I have an exclusive mug right here. This is actually something that my pal Reba Rye made me. But it has
that's cool. That's so cool. So how did you get that?
She actually personally gave it to me as a free gift from her store. She just sent it out to me.
That's crazy. And you even met up with her too. That's crazier.
Yes.
Did we talk about that? I don't know if we did.
I think we did, but I'll mention it. But I don't mind mentioning it again. Yeah, in May of this year, Reby came out to my area because she was on tour at the time, and the meetup was actually supposed to happen in 2024. And I actually did mention in 2024 that I had a few surprises, and that was supposed to be one of the big surprises. But unfortunately, Reby ended up getting sick, and the whole crew got sick, so she couldn't come. But then I get a message around April, like late April, she telling me, I'm coming, I'm touring, and I'm coming to your area, and I was wondering if we can meet up. And I'm like, okay. So I tell this to my parents, and I'm like, and they're like, she's coming? And I'm like, yeah. So it was all last minute, and we scheduled a meetup. And luckily, at the end of my street, there was like a what was it? Yeah, there was a Friendlies, and we went to meet her there, and I met her, and she was so amazing. We had such a great time. We had a nice Friendlies, hangout and everything, and we talked so much about us, our lives, what we do, and we even at one point went live on her Instagram account as a surprise. And funny enough too is that none, like, other than my friend Isaiah, because he's my closest friend and I told him first, but other than him, no one knew that I was meeting up with Reby in real life. And everyone was like, what is this? And we did a live stream, and everyone came in and they were flipping out that I was literally right next to Reby Rye. Someone was also like, is this for real life? Like, is this AI? I'm like, no, this is not AI. It's real. But yeah, it was such an honor meeting Reby this year, because now our friendship has definitely grown a lot closer because of that, to now know her on a personal level too. And yeah, it's amazing. And and we have so much planned. There's a lot that I cannot say, but we have so much planned together. We're definitely going to be doing more collaborations and all that, and really looking forward to working with her. And she's also helping me with stuff as well. Yeah, it's just amazing how we went from literally just being respectful content creators to now from that to being friends, and now we know each other personally on a personal level. It's freaking awesome. And that was definitely biggest highlight. And also, like, by the time I met with Rebe, I was very thin. I lost a lot of weight, and she actually mentioned that. She's like, "Oh, you look thinner than last time." I'm like, yeah, I lost a lot of weight, you know. But
You
yeah,
see, that feels good too. That feels great because then it's like when people notice that you've changed yourself for the better, it feels great. It feels rewarding. It feels like, you know, I've worked hard to change myself to have a better life, and now I feel like I'm getting rewarded in the best way possible. Like that must have felt amazing hearing that from Rebe Rye.
yeah, yeah. And the people who were with her, you know, they commented on that too, and it was seriously by far amazing just to hear that from her, you know. And I said, yeah, you know, and it was really great meeting her in real life. And she also was literally like, she had the wig and everything. It was amazing. Such an amazing meetup. So amazing.
Man, I tell you what, if I get Rebe Rye on the show, definitely got to have you on as a guest host. You know, just because I feel like because since you met up with Rebe, there's a lot of things you'll know, and I feel like we'll get every insight possible for a great episode of the show, without a doubt.
Yeah, and there's a lot we talked about. Obviously, there's actually a lot I really like can't mention, but all I can really say is that we had a really great time, and you know, she was so lovely to, you know, I've already known she's a lovely person to be around, but it became even more special when we did it like face to face for real. It was just so amazing, you know. And I just remember the whole time, you know, this is actually the most embarrassing part too is that I had to, at one point, you know, I had to make sure I wasn't like, you know, blushing because I never had that experience before, you know. So it was so freaking amazing.
Ryan. Oh, Ryan.
It was,
That's all right, man.
But yeah, it seriously was amazing. And also, she's the first online friend that I met in real life, because I've yet to meet Jason in real life. We always mention my online friends, like Isaiah and Jason. I always mention, like, would it be great if someday we met in real life? You know, that would be such a great highlight. You know, even if it was just for a day. You know,
Yeah,
I really hope that happens.
There should be kind of an event that goes on that like kind of brings you guys together, like you all travel to get there at the same time, because obviously it's hard when everyone lives all around the place and it would cost too much money just to travel there, and it's like am I just going to spend that much just to meet up with them, which is a problem, because it's like you obviously want to make sure you're financially stable as well. Unless you're a millionaire, which is a different story.
Yeah, that's a completely different story.
But we've seen it before. I mean, we've seen some people travel out and, you know, go and meet all these great people. We've seen Jake Deffenbaugh always travel around. He travels to Washington to meet up with, like, create at the Kennedy Center. I remember he met up with the people who worked on Between the Lions and Sesame Street. So it's just those kind of, like, you know, most people, there'll always be conventions around the countries, and people will just go. They serve as hotspots for those time of years. I think there needs to be a hotspot for Barney fans. I reckon they need to do like a convention and bring you guys together.
That honestly would be amazing. I think a dream of mine, you know, would definitely, like, if they ever consider doing another one of those fan documentaries, I would have been honored if I were to be interviewed for that. It would have been amazing.
Yeah.
To share my insight on
Don't worry. Once I get my once I save up enough to get myself a fursuit or a fur head and do stuff on camera, we are totally collaborating in real life. Like, I'm gonna travel to the States to do all that with everyone.
It'll definitely be the first time. It'll be the first time I'll be collaborating with a furry.
Hey, it already is the first time you're collaborating with a furry. You're on my show.
True.
Oh man, Dude, it's great to have you on, dude. It's seriously, every time I have these chats with you, there's always so much funny stuff to talk about, but also really great stories. Like, you have so many great stories to tell. Like, whether it's your weight loss journey or meeting up with celebrities like Rebe, I call her a celebrity because I feel like she's already at that point. Really, how many subscribers does she have? I heard she had like 1 million at one point, or maybe over 100,000.
No, she's at 1 million. Like,
no way. Wait,
I remember this from the conversation.
1.2. Oh, no way. Way.
I actually remember this from the conversation, and and this honestly touched my heart. When I remember a while ago, I made a TikTok literally promoting her and just talking about her. And when Rebe and I met IRL earlier this year, her folks at one point, you know, took me to the side and told me, "You remember that TikTok you made, like, I think it was like a year or two ago?" And I said, "Yeah, I remember that." And they're like, "Well, Ryan, we just want to personally thank you, because thanks to that video, more people discovered her, and she literally, like, she grew because of that video. So because of my video, because of me talking about her, more people started noticing."
Wait, what video was that in particular?
It was a TikTok where I just talked about, I just talked about her, you know, how such an amazing creator she was, and why people should definitely, like, you know, check her out and stuff. And yeah, it was just, yeah, that her folks told me about that, and they also told it to my family. And just to know that you played a role in somebody's, you know, in somebody's story and growth and everything, it made me feel really special, because that was always the goal from day one, was to help people, you know, be who they want to be. And for me to have helped Rebe get to where she's at today, and to be one of her very close friends and one of her dearest collaborators, it's amazing. And I just feel so special to have played a part in that story.
Yeah, man, because it's like, dude, just seeing, I think just you and even others like Jason Pleasant, like them collaborating with her would have been so good for her. And the fact that she's grown now to become a very popular children's entertainer, like, because she was on the rise, I remember, a few years ago, and now she's got over 1 million subscribers now. How crazy is that? Like, she's made it.
Yeah, it's honestly insane. And she, you know, she's done some incredible things too. You know, she's even met some pretty awesome, you know, celebrities. I remember going on her story one day, and she's going to a concert, and I didn't know what concert she was going to, because I think I was busy that day, and I didn't really get to look. But then I go to her story later on, right? First thing I see is her taking a selfie, and standing behind her is Beach Boys lead singer Mike Love.
Mike Love.
Of the Beach Boys.
Yeah.
I'm like, you don't know how much I not only enjoy the Beach Boys music, but how much of an impact they had on my life, right? It's insane that she got to meet him.
It's insane that she got to meet him. But if I were there, I would have been like, you don't know what kind of person that is. Like, I mean, look, I love the Beach Boys, but when it comes to Mike Love, I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm more of a Brian Wilson guy, really. And, you know, obviously, you know, it's a bit unfortunate that he passed away this year. But also, I'm glad that he's not. Actually, no, I'm not going to say it because I don't want to make it implied that death is the end of pain, because that's what I was almost about to say. Because I think it's also important to understand, because it's like
Mike is a very I don't want to say anything that's gonna disrespect the guy, because at the end of the day,
Nah,
you know,
he, he
despite
was
his
an important member.
reputation, yeah, despite his reputation, he's a very important member. In fact, he's keeping the Beach Boys name alive. Him and Bruce Johnston,
Yeah.
but he is a very outspoken and a very controversial member, because there's lots of stories about him, a lot of it negative. But I try to tend not to focus on the negative side of things. I like to look at
Yeah.
things in a very perspective,
Yeah.
in a
I
much
mean,
positive
I
way.
form that opinion. I form that opinion based on, if you want to know what kind of person, like, there's a huge difference between Brian Wilson and Mike Love. You watch the rock and roll introduction they did back in the 80s, and oh my God. It'll make you glad that he didn't mention your name. Because if he mentioned your name, that was not good. But
Yeah.
I love, honestly, but the thing is, looking back on the Beach Boys now, because I honestly, they've been on part of my top listening list this year, mainly because of the fact that Brian Wilson passed away. I felt bad for the guy too, because it's like I felt like he suffered for most of his life. I'm not saying that he suffered all the time, but it's like he clearly had some demons that were like,
Yeah.
because he was a genius, but he was also just like,
and like
I don't
me,
think
and like me, Brian actually, he also actually had an addiction to food. In fact, much worse than mine. You talk about me, and I was like 232 pounds. You look at Brian Wilson, the man was 320 pounds at one point. That's worse.
I think that's what comes when, especially when something's not well known, because obviously people wouldn't have talked about mental health that much back then in the 60s and 70s. So it would have just been a very, like, if it happened today, he probably would have gotten the right treatment, which is a bit unfortunate that it had to be that soon. But, I'm glad, at the end of the day, I'm so glad that he existed to make that so much great music. I mean, he really was. I mean, I know Mike Love, I'll say this. He's keeping the Beach Boys name alive, obviously, with Bruce Johnston. But here's something that my viewers need to hear, and everyone. Brian Wilson is the Beach Boys. That guy is the Beach Boys. Like, when he did his touring with Al Jardine, another one of the OG members who I loved watching him perform with Brian Wilson, I feel like, and I felt like that one was more like the Beach Boys than the Beach Boys themselves. To be honest,
Yeah.
like, that's my personal opinion. Just watching Brian Wilson, Al Jardine doing all the harmonies and all that stuff, that felt like the Beach Boys. That really did. But I think it's just because Brian Wilson's performing with the group and Al Jardine. But like I said, the Beach Boys would not have been as popular as they were if it wasn't for Brian Wilson. Like, he is by far the Mozart of this generation.
Yeah, exactly. And, and I will say this, there's a popular trend that even continues to this very day. People will say that Brian Wilson is a genius. I beg to differ. Brian Wilson was no genius at all. But did Brian Wilson pioneer music? Absolutely. Did he change the way how people look at music? Absolutely. In fact, Brian Wilson, was one of the first artists to look at a recording studio and use that as an instrument. No one had ever done that before.
Yeah. It's
Brian
like
Wilson
you watch
changed
him.
that.
He changed that. And honestly, I recommend those who don't know, watch there's the movie Love and Mercy, which is brilliant, by the way. It's a great movie about Brian Wilson. And it's a bit sad at times, because you just realize, the poor dude was taken advantage of at moments. But it's like, when you look at him doing his work, when you look at him doing all the harmonies and everything like that, and the music, it's like him doing, like, there's the scene where he works on Good Vibrations. There's actual footage of this too that they did back in the 60s. You look at that and you think, that guy came from another planet. Like, he is a genuine, he's like a martyr, basically. Like, he came from something that was like never been seen before, and it's like, And I love the harmonies. I feel like he mastered that. I feel like, I know there's Frankie Valli in the Four Seasons, but he took that to a next level.
Yeah, and and he definitely, like you said, he was definitely taken advantage of. And more importantly, there were lots of people, even his own family, even his own cousin. There were times where he would try a new direction and they didn't want nothing to do with it. I remember one scene in the movie, they're doing Good Vibrations and Brian's doing the cello part in the song.
I
And
know.
he's recording that for hours and hours and hours. And Mike Love's in this chair until finally he snaps and he just goes, enough, And Pet Sounds definitely was a game changer because by
Pet Sounds
then,
is, dude, it's like one of the best albums that we've had in 100 years. Like, it's
it was,
probably one of the best albums. I would rank that in my top 5 or 3 of all-time greatest albums, because that was I feel like that album was really just a Brian Wilson album to this day. I know it
yeah,
was called the Beach Boys Pet Sounds. I just think it was a Brian Wilson album for sure.
yeah, even actually, yeah, during the recording sessions, even the Beach Boys said themselves, like Brian, this is ridiculous. Like, you're literally making this into a Brian Wilson solo album. But and at one point they're like, why don't you just freaking record this yourself? Like, you can do everything. But he's like, no, I need you guys. I need those Beach Boy harmonies. Like, I'm not gonna fucking go solo. Are you kidding me? Hell no. I need those harmonies.
But his solo work too was I mean, I loved his work as a solo artist. Like, he had a kind of music that was about like, I know they started off as a beach surf rock like band, like they were literally called the Beach Boys for a reason. But when they actually started to experiment, because obviously it was the 60s, he was he was at the front of it all, which was crazy. Like, you listen to the dude and his work and how he did it, and then you look at his solo work and you realize this is just stuff that he has in his head that he's trying to let out.
Funny enough, the Beach Boys name, you think, like when you form a band, the name is obviously there from the very beginning. That wasn't actually the case for the Beach Boys, because originally they were never called the Beach Boys. They were actually called the Pedaltones. And it was because they had these shirts called Peloton shirts that they would wear. The Beach Boys name actually came about because when they released their first song, Surfing, originally it was Surfing by the Pedaltones. But some guy at a record company was like, no one's gonna like the fucking Pedaltones. And he was like, you know what? This song says surfing. I'm gonna name this group the Beach Boys. And when they saw it, they're like, the Beach Boys? Where's the Pedaltones? What the fuck's our name? So in the beginning, they didn't like that. They're like, why are they calling us the Beach Boys? But of course, the name fucking stuck. And rest was history.
Rest was history, man. And we got one of the most legendary bands in modern history.
Yeah,
rest in peace, Brian Wilson. You absolute
Mozart
of a man.
And the part where you said, like he was taken advantage of, I know one very notable story where he was taken advantage of. His father, Murray Wilson, Murray helped the Beach Boys get to where they are because he managed them, and he definitely played a role in helping the Beach Boys get to where they were. So
Joe Jackson of the Beach Boys. Basically.
Yeah, basically, yeah. But you have to give him credit because even Mike Love even said so himself. Like, he said, and I quote, despite my hatred towards the man, if it weren't for Murray Wilson in the early years, we wouldn't be where we are today. So he definitely had to help. But he also could be a cruel freaking prick. And how he took advantage of Brian was they had this song publishing company called Sea of Tunes. And each time the Beach Boys would write a song, it would be under that publishing company. Well, late 60s, the Beach Boys were not doing so good. They were declining. And he's like, well, I don't know if anyone's going to care for these songs anymore. So behind Brian's back, he sells it to a record company for $700,000.
Man.
Sold his songs.
Sold these songs like a jerk. Like a Joe Jackson jerk. Yeah. I was going to say... I mean, that's the thing. Like you mentioned, like, unfortunately, he was taken advantage of by too many bad people in his life. But he also had a great family. You know, he had a supportive family, like his wife and his kids and stuff. But it's just sad to see that kind of life play out. I'm happy that he, you know, lived as long as he did, because obviously, you'd think with everything that happened to him, he would have been gone much earlier, you know. In fact, he would have been gone long ago if he hadn't gotten help.
Yeah, there was an interview with him in 1983 with his soon to be abusive doctor, Dr. Landy. They said at one point, you know, when Brian was 320 pounds, one guy quoted saying, because of Brian, where he was going, they said, if Brian didn't get help, we were afraid that he was going to follow Elvis.
It could have been like that too, if you think about it. It's just, yeah.
Because Elvis also weed and drugs. Manager too was a fucking prick.
Yeah, even his manager, I know, they call it the Colonel. Yeah, we've seen Elvis. I've seen the movie. I've seen it's obviously when something like that takes advantage of you at an early age, you just think that's normal and you keep going down that route because you enjoy it. But yeah, it's kind of sad that, you know, even he was like, but for Elvis, he was really popular as well. So it would have been really hard to actually be living a normal life outside of your house, your mansion, like Graceland, like, because people would just recognize you everywhere. I mean, exactly. God, he's freaking Elvis Presley, you know? He defined music. He changed music, basically. A lot of these artists wouldn't have existed if it wasn't for Elvis.
I love this scene from the movie where, you know, they show you the origin of how Elvis, like, got into music in the first place. And it was literally him going into a church full of freaking black people. And it was like...
Because he lived he lived in... Where did he lived in Tennessee, I think, was it the South? Yeah.
Yeah, and when you see that scene, it just... Everything just made so much sense. And then
that's how he got his roots.
Yeah, and it was just... Oh, like...
But that's what made him controversial, too, because it's like he was pretty much introducing black music into popular white culture. It's like they obviously saw that as... I mean, people don't understand that he was bringing their music to popular audiences, and that's why he became so popular, because it was like... Because imagine you wouldn't be getting any airtime if you had... if you weren't white, and then he comes along, he is white, but he's playing their music, and all of a sudden girls are screaming and going wild. It's like, ah! And then everyone's like, and then there's the adult figures like, this is preposterous. It's like, this is not real music. This is a hooligan or something like that. I mean, they do explain it pretty well in the movie in Elvis. I mean, you just watch the transition between him sing, you know, before he starts singing, and then when he does, everything changes.
Because Elvis gave birth to what became rock and roll.
Rock and roll, and you knew how to wiggle.
Yeah.
He knew how to wiggle before the Wiggles.
Yeah. John Lennon actually from the Beatles actually remembered seeing Elvis in concert when he was a teenager, and, you know, he remembers being like mesmerized by him, especially he was quoted saying like, here's this freaking guy with jet black hair wiggling his ass. It was so great.
Oh mate. See, and that's incredible. Like even he even met the Beatles too, and it's like you watch these transitions between Elvis and then the Beatles come along, and then they're taking over the world, and they're just like, it's like watching Elvis times 4, basically.
Yeah, I forgot they actually met Elvis. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because obviously they were performing, and Elvis was doing movies in the 60s, and the Beatles were just taking over the world at that point. And then the 70s come along, the 80s. Someone else comes along, and they take over music like never before. It's crazy. It's like I know Taylor Swift will be the number. I mean, you look at Taylor Swift and Beyonce, they would be the Mrs. Biggs right now. Like they would be the ones that we all see and know and love. But in 50 years' time, who do you think is going to be at that level? We have no idea. I mean, I'm looking at young artists today. I look at Billie Eilish, and I think she's already just on her way to that point. Like she's very young. Like she's only in her early 20s, and she's already become one of the biggest pop stars on the planet this century.
I fucking love Billie Eilish and her music.
She's so incredible. Oh my God. I know, she's really talented.
I remember literally listening to the first album, When We All Fall Asleep, Where Do We Go? And every fucking track, I just felt in love. It was the first time where the first time where every single song from the album, it was like, I loved it. There was just nothing bad about it. Just her voice and everything about that album was just, one of my top 10 favorite albums of all time.
Dude, it's incredible. And I remember when she did that song for the Barbie movie, I was like, oh, that's just, what was I made for? And it's like her style is like, I love her. I think her style is by far my favorite of all the artists today. It's very like soft and very unique, and you get those jazz singer vibes. You get those vibes of because you haven't heard those kind of voices since like Liza Minnelli in the 70s and all those great artists, and it's like she's kind of helped revive it in a way. Like she really has. Like she sounds really like you get those jazzy Judy Garland vibes, but very soft and very calming.
Yeah, when I listened to What I Was Made For the first time, and I listened to the whole thing, it literally gives you vibes from the freaking 1950s with the slow piano and that jazzy voice. And
yeah. I love jazz.
And those fucking harmonies, holy shit.
Dude, I know. It reminds me of that quote from B-Movie. You like jazz? That's what it is. I love jazz. Yeah. Love it. Great style. I mean, even Sesame Street did it too. See, that's how great jazz is coming back. Sesame Street even did it at the Lincoln Center. They performed their songs in jazz as well. I think people just like it because it's very. You get that sense of nostalgia, and very relaxing, very soothing and sexy and all that kind of stuff. It's all that kind of style of music that people rely, and it's like you listen to the saxophone and it's like,
I especially love the jazzy soundtrack of the Peanuts TV specials.
Yeah, they're all classics, and yeah, especially during Christmas. I would listen to a jazzy Christmas album. I would listen to Michael Bublé's that Christmas album every year because it's like he does he's bringing it back.
Michael
He's bringing
Bublé
it back.
is something else. Like that man can
He's
sing.
something else.
That man
He's
can
bringing
sing.
back the classic jazz and that we've all loved and missed.
That man is literally the modern Frank Sinatra.
He is without a doubt. Although I don't think anyone can beat Frank Sinatra because he was just he kind of invented the style of being a white man. His style was basically just relax. I'm just a normal man with links to the mafia and the best voice in the world. I don't know. I love Frank Sinatra. Yeah.
Yeah.
I listen to his music pretty frequently, when I need to. Because, hey, that's life. That's what all the people say. When you're high in April and shot down in May. Yeah.
I listened to that actually for the Joker movie soundtrack. I'm shocked that song was added in there. I was like, oh, for a dark movie, you add this freaking fun of a song?
That's you know what? That makes the films even darker. When you have something really terrible happen and then you have a really upbeat song to kind of play it off, and it's like, oh man, that's really disturbing.
I will say the number one fucking creepiest song to add to a haunted, in a horror movie, Tiptoe Through the Tulips by...
I knew you were going to say that. I was literally about to go, tiptoe through the window, by the window, that is where I'll be. Come tiptoe through the tulips with me. I knew you were going to say that, though. That's why I was like, oh, I'm waiting for him to say tiptoe or I'm so happy-go-lucky. I just got my way, living every day. Those kind of musics are unique. I want to see someone just be crazy and just... Because obviously TikTok exists now. That's why these things go viral again. And they last forever.
Yeah. Fleetwood Mac, I think, went viral on TikTok recently, I think.
Yeah, well, their song Dreams, they went back on the charts because of TikTok. Crazy. I mean, TikTok helped revive Fleetwood Mac's popularity. I mean, they've always been popular, but they're popular again with a new generation because of TikTok.
This great freaking artist, Kate Bush, with
Bush, I'm running up that hill. I'm running up there.
Yeah, when that was played on TikTok, especially on Stranger Things season 4, that literally revived her popularity. And she hasn't been seen in freaking years.
Dude, this is what I like about these things on TikTok is that you get a new generation of fans. Like, I would be stoked as an artist. I don't care if I'm not making any money or revenue from it. It's like as a true artist, you'd be stoked that there's fans listening to your music again. That's what a true artist would be. Like, I remember the South Park episode when they're like, I don't know if you've seen it. It's like when Cartman starts a Christian rock band because they're trying to see who can make who can sell 1 million albums before, the other one. They have a competition. It's like first one to reach platinum status, which is 1 million albums, starts now. And they're trying to compete. Cartman starts a Christian rock band because he thinks, quote, it's the easiest money to make because it's stupid music. And it means nothing and then it's like you look at the other guys and they download music, and then it's like everyone's like, you can't download music, that's the worst crime in humanity. And it's like, okay, well then if we can't download music, we're not going to play our music. It's unfair that artists get their music stolen, and it's like they protest and they get all these people joining them, and they're like, oh no. And then Cartman makes 1 million platinum sales because Christian music has been that gullible and easy to make. And then you look at the other boys and like, okay, we give up. He won. And it's like, well, but we haven't won. It's like, oh, people are always going to find ways to steal our money. And plus, if they were really good songs, they're going to still come and watch us live anyway and pay to see us live. So we should be stoked, if we're doing it for the right reason, we should be stoked that people are actually listening to our music and buying tickets to see us live. And then it's like at the end, they're like, Yeah, we're just about the money. It's like, and then that's pretty much like, imagine being a content creator, all that kind of stuff, and just being like, yeah, no, we're not really doing it for them. We're just doing it for ourselves. We like the money. And that was pretty much the whole lesson. Is like, you don't never do it for the wrong reasons. Because if you do it for the wrong reasons, it will not last.
Do it for the fans.
Do it for the fans. And then obviously in the South Park episode, because they did Christian music, they get a Myrrh album, which isn't a platinum album. So he loses the bet and he's angry and he's like, ah, and he's like, he just pretty much breaks up the band because he's angry and stuff. I think many people would have seen the episode, but it's funny because it's like, if you do it for the wrong reason, it's not going to last. You know, but we do it for the right reason, don't we? That's why that's why I've got a podcast now, and that's why you've grown to become the content creator you have today, because we do it for the reasons that everyone else who does YouTube this long would do it for. We do it because we love it.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, because it's late in your area, we may wrap up soon. But before we do, I'd love to hear your advice for anyone who wants to follow, because as we mentioned earlier, we were talking about your weight loss journey. A lot of people will be looking at that and thinking, wow, that's incredible. I wish I could be like that too. What would be your advice to them to follow in your footsteps there and to help improve their life?
Well, honestly, when people ask me this, it takes me a moment to really think about it, because I don't know. It's just, one of those things where you really have to think about. I think if you take it from me, I say, just, you could still eat the things you want to eat, but don't overdo it. Create a system where you eat what you want to eat, but do it healthy. And most importantly, if you're full, man. Listen to your stomachs, listen to your gut. And most importantly too, add protein. I'm telling you, it will help. If you are looking for something to help you lose weight, those core power protein drinks that I drink, those things work. They helped me lose so much weight. My gut looks 1,000 times better now. It's amazing. So yeah, so my advice, to anyone is, eat healthy. You don't have to give up everything, but just moderate and cut back and add stuff too. And while I didn't do this part to lose weight, because this was all due to cutting back and eating, definitely exercise too. Definitely exercise, because it'll burn a lot of calories too. But don't overdo it. But yeah, weight loss is easy. You just have to be committed, and you just have to, believe in yourself and just do the right things. And in no time, you will start seeing results, just like how I did. It took, and it'll definitely will take a little bit, but trust me, you'll start seeing results in no time. It's crazy, So yeah, my advice is just to watch what you eat, cut back, add stuff, exercise, and take care of yourself.
Great advice. That is some great advice, and I think that you've worded that perfectly on the show. So thank you so much, Ryan, for saying that.
You're welcome.
For being an inspiration too, man. That because your journey's been incredible from last year to now, man, and we hope to see it improve even more, man. And I'd love to have you back on the show eventually, just see what's happening. If something big happens, obviously we'll have you back on, without a doubt.
You're actually the first one to call me an inspiration, so that really means a lot to me. So thank you for that.
Mate, you've inspired everyone, man. You've inspired me too, man. Without a doubt. Just it gives me hope, man. It really does. It gives me hope that, people can change. We're not just going into this system where we just follow everyone else and we can't control ourselves like we can. You've shown us that we can.
Yes, we can
Which is
definitely
very important.
we can definitely control ourselves, because if we don't have control, that if we don't have control, then we don't have, we can't be stable.
Yeah.
That's how I look at it. If you don't have control, you will not be stable. Just like with my health. If I didn't control my diet, my weight, my blood and sugar, would have been fucking dead right now. Which is sad, but it's the truth.
Yeah, man. It's pretty accurate and straight to the truth. But basically, now that we're also at Christmas as well, what are your plans for Christmas?
Oh yes, so
And also tell us your plans for Christmas and your New Year's resolution, if possible.
So first things first. By the time this gets released, this will be released on my channel. But I have a new play-along out now. It's called the Barney in the Backyard Gang play-along series. The final release of Waiting for Santa is out now. Definitely go give it a watch. This commences the Barney in the Backyard Gang play-along final releases, which means these will be the last and final time I will be doing the Barney in the Backyard Gang play-along videos, because after this I will be doing them again, and we commenced it with Waiting for Santa. Definitely go give it a watch. This was probably one of my favorite play-alongs we did. And shout outs go out to Isaiah Smith, Zaria Gavins, Taya Fredrickson, Jalen Glover for guest starring, Christopher Chen for the thumbnail, my editor Miles Hauser for the beautiful, beautiful editing and all the crazy ideas that I gave him, especially the ending. You'll love the ending. It's by far one of my favorite things we edited. It's freaking awesome. But definitely go give it a watch on my channel, because it's definitely something you definitely want to check out. So definitely check out Waiting for Santa. I'll make sure to give the link to Joey so he can link that in the description. But yeah, if you haven't seen Waiting for Santa, go check it out. Final Play on Ultron 25. Check it out now. As for Christmas plans, I just plan to, spend Christmas with family, find out what presents I'm getting. And as for New Year's resolution, I'm gonna be honest. I really haven't really thought about any resolutions. I think my resolution last year was, to get healthy, which I did. I got healthy. But for 2026, this is hard. I think. Oh, that's actually. Here's my resolution for 2026, and it's something that I mentioned in the previous episode. For the last 5 years, I've had people who I've grown close to who would screw me over and fuck me over. My goal for 2026 is hopefully to have just one fucking year where, treat me with respect and accept me for who I am. Because this year I've lost so many fucking friends due to fucking drama and shit and all that. And it's getting to a point where it's getting it's tiring. It's so it's so old, it's so childish. And I get it, some of them have disabilities, but it's not an excuse. And that's the thing I want people to learn too. Just because you have autism, do not use that as an excuse for anything.
Yeah.
Because that will not work. It'll just make you look bad.
Yeah.
And I know from experience. I won't go into it, but I know that from experience. So yeah, my resolution for 2026 is to have one fucking year where people just don't fuck me over. Don't use my success for your fucking gain. You know. Other than that, I think my other resolution would just be to keep going with being healthy and maintaining everything, stabilizing everything, and yeah, pretty much it, honestly.
I think you said that pretty well. I think, and also, I love what you were saying about the people screwing you over and not using autism as an excuse. Let me say this right now to everyone listening. I know people are going to be very defensive about this, but please, for the love of God, work on having empathy, please. If you're on the spectrum, please understand what that means and learn how to use it. Because if you don't know how to use it, you prove everyone's point about what we're like. And as much as we can be defensive about it, please learn about empathy. Just try to think about others other than yourself for once. I think that's very important because then people will respect you.
And not just, not just it'll look bad for us autistic people in the community, but it'll be you're making a statement about yourself. And it's a statement that, trust me when I say, don't make that statement about yourself, because I'm telling you, it will not only will make you look bad, it will destroy you. It will destroy you.
Exactly. Pretty strong words, and I think it's very important that people, including my viewers, many of them might not like it, but unfortunately they need to hear it because it's the truth. You need to learn how to have empathy for other people and understand what they're going through, and understand their schedules and their timetables, and not always think about yourself. It's hard. I know it's hard. It's hard, but trust me, it's worth learning how to use. It's a very important tool to use. But anyways, that's all the time that we have for another hour and a half episode. See, I knew it was going to go for this long. I had a feeling it was going to go for an hour and a half. We agreed we were going to do an hour, but we knew it was going to go for an hour and a half because we get so caught up in what we're talking about. We just love it. And also, I hate time limits. This isn't a talk show like 60 minutes where it goes for literally 60 minutes. I'm glad that we can extend it.
I actually forgot to mention earlier, it's funny that my first episode, it was the first long episode, but I think Philip Wiltshire definitely beat me to it.
No, Philip Wiltshire was different, man, because Philip Wiltshire was like, we knew people were going to be so hyped up and they always want to hear about what Philip's stories are. 3 hours was enough to explain everything that we needed to explain.
Yeah, that was literally like, it was so fully in depth. And
wait, did you watch the episode? The whole thing? I don't know who can watch the whole thing, but yeah.
Yeah. I actually was editing I was actually working on a project of mine. It was like because I'm part of like some game night for somebody, and I was writing down. I'm part of a Dungeons and Dragons campaign for something, and I was writing down details for like my character and everything. And I was listening to that, as I was writing everything down, and it was. I was like, holy fuck, Philip.
Anything that stood out? Anything you didn't know? Something like that?
There were definitely some things I didn't know, but it pretty much went into everything that Philip actually told me, because Philip and I are actually really good friends, because he actually friended me on Facebook, and I would message him. And I actually remember messaging him, asking him if he could tell me his side of the story and everything. And he sent me these long messages just telling me how, his life in the Wiggles was like and everything, and yeah.
I think also having Darby Travers on the show, who my co-host and producer is, for everyone who's watching, it was good to have him as the co-host because he actually met Philip as well, and they went to the location where they filmed the Wiggles movie. So I knew having someone that Philip knows personally on the show as a co-host would make it a very personally in-depth conversation because they would have talked about a lot of things that we don't know about.
Yeah.
So it was very important to have that. And I think that's why our episode is by far the most in-depth episode about Philip Wiltshire possible out of all of his interviews. I recommend.
Even more in depth than even more. Yeah, because before that, because that was the first like really full in depth, but yours definitely went beyond it.
Glad to hear that. I'll be glad to tell Jake that when I have him on the show too. Be like, ha, beat that. No, I love Jake. He's part of the reason why I wanted to start a podcast too, on all seriousness. So I'm glad that I can't wait to have him on too. But anyway, we've already said this like 10 minutes ago. I'm going to say it again. Thank you all so much for listening to another lengthy episode of the Joey Wiggle Experience with the magnificent Ryan Boyd.
Thank you as always. Thank you for having me back on and having me on for a second time. This was incredible, especially to end the 2025 year. It's amazing.
Without a doubt. And thank you. Yeah, as I said, thank you all for watching. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell. I will add the links too for Ryan's channel and the play along as well to the final one too, which is crazy that you mentioned that.
Yeah, the backyard game final releases, they commence starting on Tuesday.
Yeah. Oh man, that's crazy. And also, if you enjoyed this episode and you want to listen to some other ones on the go, you should also follow me on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio. There's other ones too, which I couldn't mention because I can't remember the names. I should really do that, but it doesn't matter because they're not as popular as Spotify. And before we wrap up this wonderful Christmas episode, Day 11 of the 12 Guests of Christmas. We only have one more to go before we wrap up for the year. Was there anything that you'd like to say, Ryan, for the viewers before we finish? Or would you like to sign off?
Yeah, I'll say one thing. I'll just say thank you guys so much for everything, and especially the last 11 years. When I first joined YouTube, I had no idea that I would be where I am now and making these special connections. And I also thank Joey for inviting me back on the podcast after the great success of the first episode. I was in episode 6. But yeah, I'm looking forward to hopefully more future appearances. And I thank you guys so much for enjoying this episode, and definitely check out Joey's channel because he's done so many incredible things, especially the Wiggles fan dubs, in which I'm in all 3 of them. And yeah, it's amazing. But thank you guys so much for supporting Joey, for supporting myself, and for just being such incredible people. Thank you guys.
No worries. Thank you so much for being on the show today, Ryan.
Thank you for having me on.